One of the things that happened to my channel over the years was that it evolved. I started playing Magic the Gathering in the mid-90s. I was one of the first YouTube channels in the Magic community to reach 100,000 subscribers. Wasn't the only. I can't even be 100% sure if I was the first, but I was one of the first independent Magic the Gathering YouTube channels. And something happened around 2015, 2016 that really changed the way that I kind of talked about the game, the way I approached the news with the game. And that is that Wizards of the Coast, obviously, many people know, I believe it's the best game in the country run by the worst people in the country. They decided to lean more into their own political ideologies. Whether it was, well, we have to have enough more representation on our cards. Because, Lord knows there's a huge market of dwarven black lesbians that won't play Magic of the Gathering unless, they see themselves on the card. Need I remind you that the game is a fantasy game where you play with as like goblins and trolls and dragons and, things like this. But it was a big part of the channel fighting against kind of this woke nonsense. And 3 years ago, I've taken a break, come back, taken a break. That's common. And this last time I came back 3 years ago, the game had seemed to have calmed down on kind of the witch hunts and the nonsense. I was famously banned for, again, being a little bit too much of a spicy boy, making fun of Mark Rosewater and his far leftist political ideologies. Again, I wish I didn't know how the people who made my game that I play to escape reality, I wish I didn't know how they voted. I wish that I didn't know how my favorite musicians voted. I wish I knew how all my favorite Hollywood actors, I wish I didn't know how they voted. Because it removes the escapism element, which is, of course, the most important part of the game. People play Magic the Gathering to escape, to have fun. And it became this thing where my position was never, well, the politics in Magic the Gathering need to get more right-wing, because I'm not even a right-winger. I'm the same dude that I was when I voted for Obama 15 years ago, but the entire window of what is considered left-wing or right-wing has shifted. If you didn't want to be, illegally locked down by a fascist government, you were a conspiracy theorist. If you chose to make your own, it was your body, your choice if you wanted to vacuum out and scramble the brain of a fetus, but it wasn't your body, your choice when you didn't want to get the jab. This was what I fought against and I continue to fight against. And unfortunately, I have to be able to report that the Magic the Gathering community has, in fact, not gotten any better in terms of these political witch hunts that almost always emanate from their toxic loser fandom that exists almost exclusively on Reddit. And that did not spare this witch hunt against a poor guy who just so happened to be the head set designer or a set designer on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles card game. The Reddit got word. Head designer of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles goes to Peter Thiel event, gives signed card to Christian nationalist. Of course, that means we must cancel him now. I happen to think that this nation is a Christian one, and I do think and I support people spreading Christianity in this country. But Wizards would probably want the unwashed hordes of radical Muslims to have more control in this country, keep blowing stuff up in the name of their leader, than ever argue that Christianity is what this country was built on. But again, I don't like to bring politics into the game. I don't bring religion into the game because it is meant to dispel. It is meant to be an escape. I don't play Magic the Gathering so I can talk about more politics. I don't play Magic the Gathering so I can talk about troons. I don't play Magic the Gathering because I want to feel validated. I play it because I want to escape. I enjoy fantasy. And that's what everyone who played this game used to be. But here's another prime example. Here we go. Head designer of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles gives a signed card to a Christian nationalist. So what if he did? People that want this country to be a Christian nation want to play Magic the Gathering, they're fine by me. The same way, some trans individual that wants to play Magic the Gathering with me is also fine with me. I just don't want to talk about politics. And the left is incapable of this. You would be surprised how many people who play Magic the Gathering that are actually hard conservatives. But you know what? They don't spew their conservative views while they're trying to play a game about magical fairies and goblins. But the left, they do, because primarily they have no other interesting character trait. If you want to know why these people are the way they are, it's because they have nothing interesting to say about themselves. I don't care if somebody's gay. It doesn't affect me in any way, shape, or form. I don't care if they're trans. It does not affect me in any way, shape, or form. If they're liberal, if they're Christian nationalist, it doesn't matter, okay? But when you have no unique personalities, your gender, your orientation, how you vote become who you are. And that's why these people react so aggressively and emotionally when anybody questions that, because you are questioning the very core of their being, the very core of who they are, because they don't have anything else interesting about themselves. They don't have any hobbies. They don't have any friends. They don't have a job that gives them satisfaction. They are unhappy people. And so they say, I vote this way and this is who I am. By the way, it's cringe when conservative people are like this too. Have something interesting to say. I don't want to talk to you about politics. So, of course, they set the witch hunt on him. And Peter Thiel's a billionaire aligned with Trump. His Palantir software is used to spy on people for ICE and other agencies. By the way, I don't like Palantir either. But again, they would happily support Palantir if it was exclusively spying on conservatives or spying on parents who are going to school board meetings because they don't want LGBTQ propaganda foisted upon their third graders. Again, I've been dealing with these people. All they do is lie. Thiel, whose wife, Michelle, runs an organization who convert tech elites to her view of Christianity. Good. She sponsored the talks where Thiel and Greta Thunberg were the Antichrist. By the way, none of these people are actually religious. Most of these dorks are Reddit atheists. Again, I don't care if you're atheist at all. But again, for a long time, being atheist became what? Say it with me. A personality trait. During like the skeptic era of YouTube, it was cringe. I'm an atheist and you should be atheist too. That's cringe. That's just as cringe as me using my platform to say, well, I'm Christian. And if you want to watch my stuff, you should be Christian too. It's nonsense. It's not why I make content about a card game, okay? So now, of course, it gets run up to Wizards of the Coast. Blake, who's their PR guy, went to this event personally and the PR guy said, hey, this guy went to the event personally and not as a WotC employee. Blake also said Eric didn't even know who Trey was. So what if he did? This is just another lame leftist attack on Christianity. That's what this is. So, of course, then they force Eric to issue an apology statement because that's what these cyber bullies do. They have no power in their real lives. These are basically Karens, but when it comes to politics. And again, they have no real power in their lives. They're deeply unhappy. So they force this guy to issue an apology. My name's Eric, and I'm the senior game designer working on Magic the Gathering. I was recently pictured with Trey Stevens, and I wanted to provide some clarity about how the photo came to be. I am sorry and disappointed I allowed this to happen. If I had known who he was or what Founders Fund was, I would not have attended the draft. I understand how it feels to see me standing next to him, and once I learned who he was, I was mortified. I had no intention to make it appear that or I support at Wizards or anyone at Wizards support condone Trey Stevens or his Founders Fund. This is what happened. A million years ago, somebody in Wizards PR screwed up and sent me a spoiler. And the Magic Reddit had a meltdown. They're like, he voted for Trump. Why are you giving him a spoiler? I don't know, because I spend more money than any of the people complaining about it on the game. Maybe it was because at the time I had 80, 90,000 YouTube subscribers and was regularly getting 30 to 50,000 views. Maybe it was because I was a massive ambassador for the game. And no, Wizards of the Coast then slandered me and said I was an alt-right Nazi and all this stuff, and it was a Claire and blah, 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 blah. It is so pathetic. So they bully this guy into an apology, and of course it won't be enough. And it's like, oh, well, now he apologized. Here's, Magic community team here. Eric doesn't even have a social media presence, but he wanted to share his apology. It is absolutely disgusting. The fact that these guys bully some guy for being a Christian. By the way, if he is a Christian and then he came out and disavowed it, he's a coward. All right. But this is about, well, Christians bad, ICE bad, let the foreign hordes continue to, take over our country. Nothing about the game. Yet this, brigade, which had thousands and thousands of likes, 7,000 likes, they brigaded this poor guy and bullied a fully grown adult man into apologizing. The guy that apologized, you're a coward, an absolute pussy, all right? I don't know if you knew or didn't know who he was, but if you had any balls at all, you would have said, you know what? I didn't know who he was, and guess what? That doesn't matter. But instead, cowardly, like all these beta males do, he apologized. The Magic community is no better than it ever was. It's run by these woke bullies who are losers and will always be losers. And that's why this channel coming back is so important, because I'm here to call them out. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like on it. And if you haven't yet, subscribe or follow down below. We have lots of new content coming up with the new Magic the Gathering set. I know you guys have given a lot of feedback. Box openings aren't quite as hot as they used to be, so I'm going to focus more on vlogs, news, and advice, gameplay advice for the pre-releases and things like that. So I hope you enjoyed, and we'll talk to you again real soon.